getting a little set up here. I don't know, I feel like either a lot of people could show up or no one could show up. It's my supervisor here again. She's already in the way. So I'll try to do some of this from this GoPro this time. It's hard to see. What I'm looking at is so far behind what the camera's looking at. But here's the one I've been working on. Still grinding this first bevel here. This marker's about had it. Hey Bonnie, I hope you're doing good. Hope your Christmas is going well. I haven't used this GoPro in a while, so I'm kind of getting used to how to do it again. Just so I can watch over here and kind of see comments. The dog getting up in the way. Nala, come on, get out of there. We just got out of here. Out here, it takes her a second to kind of settle down, and hopefully she lays down in the right spot so I don't have to get her back up. Watch out. All right. That's my new tripod I got for Christmas. Yeah, I can imagine. I'm lucky I didn't have to go anywhere today. I mean, I guess that's lucky. Alright. Let's do this. Alright, that's where we're at now. I'm just gonna kind of barely touch it, just make sure my angles or nothing ain't moved. Can't really tell I need to speed it up a little. Pretty good. Thank you. Yeah, so far so good. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. I hope you have the same. about as out of the way as I can hope for, I guess. What's up, rural prepper? I'm gonna let this cool down anyway, and that's a great question. What's up, Brian? I actually talked about this when I started it. This is what I got here. This is what I'm using. I'm waiting for the camera to catch up, make sure I'm showing it to you. But I cut the end off that had the tag that told me what it was, so I don't know exactly what it is. It is either 80 CRV2 or 1095. I do know that. Which is good because they both heat treat the same, so they both take the same, you heat them up to the same temperature and quench them in oil, temper at about the same temperature. So, but I'm not sure which one it is. This thing is hot. I'm trying not to, I did finally bring some water out today, but I'm trying not to soak my jig with water and get it all over my machine and everything. But yeah, that's a good question. I wish I knew the answer. They're both pretty close to the same, so it's not a big deal that I don't know. But people ask that question. It's not really a problem on this one because I'm keeping this one. How much battery I got left on this thing? 73. How long have I been going? 20 minutes. Interesting. In the past, when I've used the GoPro, it goes an hour and then it shuts off. Oh my God. We'll see how it goes. When it does shut off, yeah, 1095 is good. When it does shut off, I'll probably switch over to a vertical stream on my phone. 1095 is good. You can do a good heat treat on that, even in like a forge or a good fire pit with something blowing on it, even. 1084 is really good for starting out. But yeah, I do like 1095. I like the 80 CRV too. It seems to, like, it's a little easier to work, I feel like, than 1095 when you're grinding it and all that. I don't know if that's true, but it seems like that when I'm using it. Yeah, I think Bonnie left, Brian. I think she was going somewhere. So this here is going to be a kitchen knife. I'm curious what kind of, like, making them, what kind of, are you forging? I don't forge. Are you just grinding them, or, I don't know, curious what kind of equipment you have. Yeah. So, I mean, 1095, if you get it hot enough, the magnet don't stick to it, and then quench it in some oil. Canola oil probably is the easiest. It's the easiest to get and fairly cheap. And that's what I used for a long time. I do have, like, real quenching oil now, Parks 50. But it's not cheap. But yeah, pretty much if you get it non-magnetic and dunk it in oil and wait till the wife's not home and throw it in the oven at 400 for an hour twice. You'll be good. All right, back to it. Yeah, that works too. I do like knowing what metal I have, because you're kind of guessing when you're going that way. Nowadays, depending on the saw blade, a lot of them are. Yeah, that's how I do mine. I buy the flat bars and then I grind them out. This one, I haven't checked my handle material yet, but I'm pretty sure this one's gonna get black paper micarta handles with some liner. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm really only grinding up here. I'm not hitting this edge down here anymore. I'm trying not to. I want to get my grind all the way up to the top. But I already got this edge here is already as thin as I wanted on this side. I'm really trying to just grind up here. And when I get up there, I'll get it all flat. The camera, I think, is staring at my feet again. It's been a while since I've done this. I have finished some projects that I had going, but I haven't really started any new ones in probably over a year. I do still have a bunch to finish still, but kind of did this one, started doing this one to have something to live stream, start to finish. this one here, this is not heat treated yet either. This is still annealed. I'm gonna do 90% of the grinding, and then I'll heat treat it, and then I'll do a little bit of grinding. So I don't have to worry about getting it too hot, but it starts getting hard to hold. The jig starts getting hot. You really go at it. Grind is pretty crooked. I start trying to even it out a little more when I get close. I'm getting down here to the edge, but I'm still not touching it yet. And if I do touch it, I want to adjust my jig to steepen up my angle some more. Actually touching it there, but not here, and not here. Just a little tiny turn. Let's see, what do I need to do? Oh, it is a fun hobby to get into. Or you know it, you'll have knives laying around everywhere. You'll more than you know what to do with. Oh man, this band here, I got my first copyright strike on my last video, and it was this band here. Probably gonna get one again. It wasn't this song, but it was this. I mean, it ain't a big deal, but I ain't trying to do it either. So I'm sure I'm gonna get one anyway already. It's hard to just sit in here and do this in the quiet. I like having music going or something. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast or something. Usually I have music going a lot louder. Again, I just use this to see, kind of gives me a visual of what's going on, where I'm sanding, where I'm hitting. Like I've said, I don't really want to do much on the edge. I don't want to take that no thinner. I'm sure you can't see it, but it's already down to where I marked my center line. I got a lot to take off of this side, but this side is where I marked the center line. I mean, if I had the money, I'd have a 2-inch So I got a 1-inch belt grinder, a nice one. You can get a cheap Harbor Freight one. That's probably what, I mean, that's what I started with. 1x30. If I had the money, I would have a 2-inch, 2x72. I got a belt over here. It takes one of these belts. If I had the money, that's what I would use, but they're not cheap. I don't have one. That's what most guys would use. I think once you start getting wider than that, it's hard to use. Like this I've seen people use these ones too. They cut a little notch out of the frame so they can get up to the, there's a knife here, so they can get up to the little edge here on the plunge line. Hey Ren Bear, Merry Christmas. I hope it's going well. You want to see your dog? Can you say hi? Hopefully it's pointing at her. You gonna say hi? She wants to go sit on the couch. You need to go lay down. You need to go lay down. Or you gotta put some safety glasses on. She is. Alright, come on, watch out. Good girl. Yeah, probably. I mean, if you got a Harbor Freight around, they got a 1x30, and that's like, that's the one most people I know would start with. It's good. It's kind of too fast. After you heat treat stuff, it's hard to use because, come on, get out of here. It's too fast, so it'll heat them up and stuff, but it'll work good. Get good belts for it. The Harbor Freight belts are nice and cheap, but they're not that great. Last time I bought one, it was about 60 bucks. So I know it ain't cheap, but it's not terribly expensive either. I actually went through 2 of them because I dropped one and broke it and had to buy a second one. Yeah, she's pretty good. She's just over it. She wants to be sleeping on the couch. Pretty much her favorite thing anymore. At least it's not cold out here today. It's I do have that little heater on, but it's 60 degrees in here right now. The day I started this, it was 30, low 30, seeing my breath in here. It's getting there now. I want to get it almost all the way to the top. I got my angle a little too steep now. It's just touching here. I can tell. You see the little scratches that go past the line, which means I'm not even really getting right to the line yet. I'm not touching down here at all. When you start getting all the way up here, the little tiniest movement with this knob will really screw you up. It'll get your angle off to where it's all the way up past the edge. You're gonna kind of sneak up on it. This knife is quite a bit bigger than most I do, specifically like the blade section. So it takes a lot longer to grind than others I do. Man, this band again. It's the one that got me in trouble yesterday. It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, but whatever. Last time I streamed. My camera says I'm still at 50%, so I'm going to try to stop it before it dies, but I'm going to go close till it happens, I hope. No, I can't even get the screen to pull up. 46%. I feel like it goes a lot faster in the second half, but also the last time I was using it, I always had problems. It always overheated, but that was like, it was hot. What's up, Full Monty? Merry Christmas. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good one. Anyway, when it ends, I'm probably going to take a little break. A couple minutes. I don't know how long. Go get a drink. And then I'll probably come back on a vertical stream with my cell phone. So here's what we got, Monty. It's a kitchen knife. I'm working on the first bevel, and then I got to do the bevel on this other side here next. I suppose once I get that done, it'll be ready for heat treating. I think I'm gonna make 2 more out of this before I heat treat, so I can do them all at the same time. I probably won't do those on camera. We'll see how it goes. So where's my safety specs? You can really tell that I'm hitting only right up there. So fine, that little turn I went from hitting only right up here to only down here, just the tiniest adjustment. I don't know what happened there. I rocked my jig or something. That's right. I'll clean that up. I'm gonna do this is 60 grit. I'm gonna do 120 next. I'll either clean it up with that or I'll clean it up after the heat treat. Okay. I feel like I said 160, but I meant 60 grit. Let's see. Wonderful world of sanding belts. I'd like to not use a new one. If I got a decent old one, I'd like to use it. Looks like we got some mouse action going on over here. That's not good. These are all old 60 grit ones. These are new 60 grit ones. Here's the 120. This one seems alright. Just doing this is pretty much clean the rust off my table, not completely, but you can definitely tell where my jig don't touch over there. I still got 5 people in here. I thank y'all for coming in and watching on Christmas. I know some of y'all probably ain't got nothing to do. A couple of y'all got nothing to do, and a couple of y'all hiding from the family. I'm obviously in the I ain't got nothing to do clan. So every time I change belts, I move my angle back out more, because sometimes when you change belts, it tends to want to run up the edge too high here. So I'm gonna steepen my angle just a little bit. And I like to just kind of touch it on there. Like you can see, I'm way on the edge there. That is where how it should be. Still way on the edge. Drop it back a little more. You can hear that I'm getting more of it now. But I'm still on the edge a lot. Crank it up and go to full pass. We're getting pretty close. Gus's staring at my shoes again. Liking this. I'm not liking that used belt. I'm gonna get a new one. Alright, so I'm gonna stop there for before heat treating. After heat treating, I will take this all the way up to the edge, to the on camera here, and take it all the way up to the spine, just barely, because you don't want it to look excuse me, you don't want it to look funky right here. When you're looking down the top of the knife, you don't want it to have like a step. You want it to be gradual. So let's see, what are we at on time? Yeah, it's still working. I do like to remember which spot I had it. Oh my god, I can't talk. Which holes I had it screwed down to in this jig. Of course, I flip it over, so it's going to be that one and that one. And if I know the first one, the second one's easy. Yes, I will show the heat treat process. I'm not sure. That's going to be in a day or two. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of cheating because I got an oven. See if you can see it. I got a heat treating oven, so I get to set my oven to 1475 and put my stuff in and wait till it heats up, and then that little paint can there's got my oil. But I will be showing it. I probably won't show the tempering part live, but that's only because basically all I'm doing, once it's heat treated, quenched in the oil, all I'll be doing is putting the knife in the oven 400 degrees for an hour. Then I'll take it out, let it cool down, put it in for 400 for an hour. But I will go over that when I do it. I'll talk about it at least. But yeah, I will be doing the heat treating process. I mean, that's the part, that's the funnest part. That's the part people want to see. If all goes right, it'll be pretty uneventful. There won't be no flames, and there won't be none of that. Be a little smoke, be a hot knife and a little smoke, and that's about it. Get me a little acetone. Clean this marker off of here. I'll find a magnet too, so I can have a magnet when I'm doing the heat treat, and I can pull it out, because that's how I used to do it. I heat it up. I've even done it with a torch. Heat it up, and then it starts glowing. Touch it to your magnet. Once it quits sticking to your magnet, that's it. I think like 1450 or something ish. You want to get about 20 degrees hotter. So heat it up a little more with your torch or whatever. I've done it with a torch. I've done it with a I did it with a wood stove that you used for a wall tent before. People have definitely done it in just like a campfire with they use like a hair dryer with a piece of black pipe to blow air in it to get it hot enough. So yeah, it can definitely be done. Alright, anyway, there's that first side there. It's up to 120. So let's but yeah, I'll show that process. I mean, I'd like to say it'd be tomorrow, but it'll probably be a day or two. I'll try to schedule it a little more than I usually do, so maybe you can see it live. I've definitely done it in other videos already. I'm pretty sure I've done it live in some videos on my channel. But like I said, I want to get 2 more knives out of that piece, and I think I'm going to do those, get those ready, and so I can heat treat them all at once. It's kind of, it's not hard, it's just a process. And heating the oven up and stuff, might as well have more than one to do if you're going to take the energy to heat it up. So, I'm about tired of coffee too. That's the other thing I'm going to do when the battery dies and I take a little break. I'm switching from coffee to Coke probably. Thank you, Brian. It's coming out nice so far. Well, now I'm just flipping it over to do the other side. Same thing again, but on the other side. Again, this one takes so long because there's so much blade on it, and I'm grinding the whole blade. Where, let me grab one of these again. Something like this. I mean, these took a long time to grind too, but for different reasons. Because you have to grind this and this and this and get them all to line up right. But to grind just this little spot here, you know, only that high up, doesn't take very long. But when you're talking this whole knife here all the way to the top takes pretty long. It's also, this one's thicker. On the thicker ones here, you can get way nicer lines because your angles are steeper. So your lines here can come out a lot better when you're grinding thicker stock and not as tall. Yeah, wood stove and compressed air, that'll probably work. I mean, that's how I did it. I had one of these little, I mean, it's like a wood stove that we would use in our wall tent. And man, if you opened it wide open, it ran so hot that it would get hot enough. And that's what I did for a couple, for sure. And then I used a torch on some, an oxyacetylene torch, which is, you know, you need to have it's not as easy because it's hard to get it real even, depending on the size of your knife. And then I bought that heat treating oven. So they're not cheap, but someday I want to do stainless steel and stuff, and stuff you gotta be really precise with. Alright, so we're gonna make this real steep again. I think I'm gonna end it here. When I come back, I'll do this other side. But I'm at 10% here on my battery. So an hour and 20 minutes. That's the longest this GoPro's ever lasted. Yeah. Make sure you're not using, like, if you're gonna use, like, I don't know what kind of compressed air you're talking. If you're gonna use a hairdryer or something with a piece of metal pipe, make sure you got black pipe, not galvanized, because it give off some nasty fumes on the galvanized. So here, let me set this camera down for a second. I can figure out how to get it off. It's really heat treating, it's really not that hard. The thing about, like, I don't know, your 1095 you got, you're really supposed to get it up to temperature and then hold it there for 10 minutes. But that's going to be almost impossible with just a wood stove. But it is pretty forgiving, so just if you get it up to non-magnetic and then quench it in some oil, it'll be good. Yeah, Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, you can do it with nothing but a fire pit and a file. Like, people will do it. There's on YouTube, you can look up like a, no, get out of there. She's trying to eat my dust. Get out of there. They make like a, man, I don't know what they call it, like a knife filing jig. And basically a couple pieces of wood and a metal bar and a file. And they make a little jig to do the bevels like I'm doing here. I did that once. It works. And you can get nice results. But there is some elbow grease involved for sure. Really, what you should, if you want to get started, you know, metal and sandpaper. Sandpaper's the most expensive part of this whole thing, really. Until you start buying ovens and stuff. But man, you go through a lot of sandpaper. It's starting to rain here. There's all kinds of videos on here. I've seen dudes make them with nothing but a angle grinder. Man, that takes a steady hand. But man, I've seen people do it and they come out nice. They look good. You know, my neighbor's out there shooting guns. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I probably shouldn't. That's probably a bad word for YouTube. Maybe you got a new Christmas present. Okay, so you get that. I got my jig off of Amazon. I'm gonna guess that's where you got yours or something like it. It's definitely not the best, but it's nice. Man, I'll show you. Let me see if I can find it. My first jig, my first grinding jig I ever had. See if I can. Yeah, here it is. I don't have all the parts for it, but here it is. And this is my first grinding jig I ever used. Let me turn this. Camera's dark, so I can't see if it's working. It's a piece of, I think it's 1.5 inch, maybe it's got to be 1.5 inch square tubing. This was the side I started with. Looks like it was cut out with a hacksaw. And I had 2 pieces of metal I would clamp on my blade to give me my stopping point where I wanted my bevel to start. So that's why this slot's cut in it, and then the knife would sit on here, and of course it's square. But what I would do is I would angle my table, and then I would slowly adjust the angle on my table, and then just slide this back and forth, just like you do this jig. But I would use the table to set the angle instead of the jig. And then later on I got a mill and I cut a nice slot. You can see this one's a lot nicer and it fit the piece of metal I used real good. It made it easier to repeat it from side to side. So yeah, that's my first jig I used to make bevels. Yeah, they've been hunting here. I think gun season's over, I think, but I do think that you can still bow hunt right now. I didn't get to go this year. I couldn't find I don't know where to hunt since I moved here. It's kind of different out on this side of the country. There is just not, I'm used to just public land everywhere out west. And it's not as much like that here. And then I couldn't find my hunter safety card. I had to order a new one. I'm hoping next year to find somewhere to hunt and do it. There's some cool things, like out west you get, Colorado you get one deer and you have to draw for it to get the tag. And you almost usually do always get a tag when you're a resident. Montana, you could just go buy a tag, and I think you could buy a second one until they sold out. Man, out here I think you buy your tag, I think you get 3 deer. I think it's a buck and 2 does, or it might be a buck and 3 does. They let you shoot a lot more deer out here. I don't know if y'all can hear it, it's really starting to, sounds like it's pouring rain. It's probably not as bad as it sounds. Yeah, Amazon. That's where I got mine. It's for the price of that jig. It's awesome. I like it. It's not the sturdiest thing. It's a little weird when the adjustment knob, when you hit the end of the bolt on the knob where the thread starts, it moves way more in that one spot. And there's some weird things about it, but all in all, for the price, it's good. Way better than that thing I made. I've also seen people make them out of wood. They just make them to like a fixed angle, and they actually cut the angle on the piece of wood. But you gotta know your maths on that to get that angle right. And kind of have to make one for each blade depending on the angle and all that. So I'd be interested to see. Let me make sure I'm subbed up to Rural Prepper. You ain't got no videos. I'd be interested to see them if you did anything. Let me see. I'm gonna show you something. If I can find my first knife, I think it's out here. I got 4 people in here. I generally don't show it to people. It's kind of embarrassing. God, this thing is ugly. Here it is. Pretty sure it's walnut. It's $10.95. I used way too thin of stock when I did this. I think it's 16th inch. I'm pretty sure it's walnut. Brass pins. It's ugly. I keep it around, just, you know, that's the first one I ever made. That's the first sheath I ever made too. Man, it's ugly. I would, if I started making this sheath today, I would have thrown this one away 3 seconds into starting. But I put the snap on backwards and everything. It's supposed to have a nice decorative button that doesn't have a hole in it. Instead it says Tandy on it. I did not know what I was doing. I mean, I was kind of going for like a little Skinner type something, but man, it didn't really end up there. So I'm gonna leave this up, but no one rewatches my lives, so y'all got to see my first knife. Like I said, I don't like showing it off. I have to pretend like it didn't happen. So, but yeah, you go like from that to these ones. I've been showing this the whole time, but these ones, you know, a lot better at grinding. Of course, I picked better stock. I picked thicker material. I've made a whole bunch of these style right here. This is going to be a paracord wrapped one. This is why it's got, let's see if it'll sit here. That's why it's got a little notch right there to hold that last wrap of paracord to keep it from wanting to slide down, and a little notch right there to hold the paracord. So it'll loop around into probably that one. And then I've been working on etching my maker's mark into them. I gotta change it because I'm not in Colorado anymore, but that's a whole nother. I think I'm gonna do a live stream just where I mess with etching. I might do something like I might etch people's names on a test piece or something there in the chat just to mess around with it. Yeah, we all gotta start somewhere. That's why I wanted to show it to you, because you know, man, you can get discouraged. I'm not saying you're not gonna make the nicest knife ever, because you might have more patience than I did on my first one. But you started with these best of intentions. You've probably seen some videos of people making awesome knives, and I'm gonna make this awesome knife, and just don't get discouraged if it doesn't quite come out how you envision it. That knife is still useful. It's still a knife. It's just ugly. So my camera's totally gonna die here in a second. I'm at 4% now. So I gotta figure out how to end this. The GoPro is so weird because you have to start it up on the GoPro app. And I think I have to go back to the GoPro app to turn it off. So, anyway, I think I'm gonna try to end this and try to figure that out. I'm gonna try to come back and do some more here, and I don't know, half hour, an hour maybe. We'll see how that goes. But I'm not done yet. I want to keep working. Thanks, Brian. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you're here. Glad to have a couple people here while I did it, at least.